A short story by Phillip Garcia.
Frank's hands were strong, calloused. Years of working on engines, of feeling the grit of metal, had left their mark. He didn't mind. These hands provided, cared, loved. Frank was a mechanic, his house haven of grease and tools. He understood the rhythm of engines, the way metal talked to him. He found peace in the work, the problem solving. Each car was a puzzle, and Frank, with his steady hands and quiet focus, would set things right. His customers trusted him, knew he was a man of his word. Frank took pride in that. Honesty was important. It wasn't always easy, this life. Long hours, sometimes frustrating problems, the weight of responsibility. But Frank, he would wipe his brow, look at the picture of his family taped to his toolbox and carry on. They were worth it, every sacrifice. Home for Frank was a small house filled with love and laughter. Phyllis, his wife, was his rock, his anchor. Her smile could chase away any storm cloud. Together, they had built a life, a family. 4 children, each one a blessing. There was Frank Jr., the oldest, already showing an interest in cars like his father. Then came Stephanie, her nose always pointing to the television. Greg, full of energy and mischief, kept everyone on their toes. And little Philip, the baby, his laughter was sunshine. Dinner time was sacred. Frank would come home smelling of oil and sweat, but it was a good smell, an honest smell. Phyllis would have dinner ready, the table set, and for a little while the world outside would fade away. It was just them, a family, sharing stories, sharing love. Frank knew he wasn't the most expressive man. Words didn't come easy to him, but he showed his love in other ways. A hand on a shoulder, a listening ear, a playful ruffle of hair. His children knew without a doubt that their father loved them fiercely. Phyllis was a woman of faith. Every night she knelt by their bed, hands clasped, and prayed. She prayed for their children, for their health and happiness. She prayed for Frank, for his well-being, for his soul. She knew he didn't share her faith, not yet, but she never gave up hope. She saw the goodness in him, the love he had for their family, his strong sense of right and wrong. Surely, she thought, a heart so good could find its way to God. So she prayed night after night, her whispers a constant, gentle plea. Sometimes Frank would hear her, the soft murmur of her voice in the quiet house. He wouldn't say anything, just listen. He respected her faith, even if he didn't understand it. He knew it brought her comfort, and that was enough for him. He loved her deeply, her unwavering belief a source of both mystery and admiration for him. He couldn't quite grasp it, this faith that seemed to guide her every step, but he saw its reflection in her kindness, her compassion, her unwavering love. Frank wanted the best for his children. He wanted them to have the opportunities he never had, to go to college, to chase their dreams. He pushed them to work hard, to be honest, to treat others with respect. These were the values he held dear, the ones he believed would serve them well in life. He taught them about responsibility, about the importance of hard work. He taught Frank Jr. how to change a tire, Stephanie not to love the bank balance, Greg how to stand up for what he believed in. He wanted them to be independent, capable, ready to face the world head-on. Sometimes late at night when the house was quiet, he would sit in his chair watching his children sleep. He saw their potential, their innocence, and a fierce protectiveness would well up in his chest. He wanted to shield them from the hardships of life, to pave the way for their happiness. He knew he couldn't protect them from everything. Life had a way of throwing curveballs, of testing even the strongest spirit. But he could give them the tools, the values, the love they needed to navigate the world. That's all he could do, and he would do it with everything he had. Phyllis never pushed her faith on Frank. She knew that faith was a personal journey, one that had to be taken willingly. But she never missed an opportunity to plant a seed, to share a story from the Bible, to talk about the love of God. She knew that sometimes the smallest seed could take root and grow in the most unexpected of places. One evening, as they sat on the porch swing, watching the fireflies dance in the twilight, Phyllis gently took Frank's hand. "You know," she said, her voice soft, "God loves you, Frank. He loves you just the way you are." Frank didn't say anything, but he didn't pull away either. He listened, his heart stirring with a feeling he couldn't quite name. Another time, while Frank was working on his truck, Frank Jr. came up to him, a troubled look on his face. "Dad," he asked, "why do bad things happen to good people?" Frank paused, unsure how to answer. He didn't have Phyllis' faith, her unwavering belief in a higher purpose. Before he could respond, Phyllis appeared, her hand resting gently on Frank Jr.'s shoulder. She spoke about God's plan, about how sometimes, even though we don't understand, there's a reason for everything. She spoke of hope, of faith, of the comfort that belief could bring. Frank didn't suddenly find God. There was no blinding light, no sudden conversion, but something had shifted within him. The seeds that Phyllis had planted, the questions his children asked, the quiet strength of Phyllis's faith, they had begun to take root. He found himself thinking about things he hadn't thought about in years. He started noticing the small miracles, the beauty of a sunrise, the laughter of his children, the unwavering love of his wife. He began to see the hand of something bigger than himself at work in the world. He still didn't have all the answers. He still had doubts, questions, but he was open to the possibility of something more. He started attending church with Phyllis and the children, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to understand. The journey was just beginning, but Frank was no longer afraid to take the first step. He had always been a man of action, a man who fixed things, and now he was ready to fix the one thing that had always felt broken, his connection to something beyond himself. He was ready to open his heart and let faith in.